When did the first human realize a strange-smelling fruit could change the mind? Was alcohol discovered by accident or invented for rituals, calories, and control? And why does the oldest evidence for drinking keep appearing near graves, feasts, and social gatherings? The first human to drink alcohol probably did not invent a bar. They followed a smell. A ripe fruit fell, split open, warmed in the sun, and changed. Yeast ate the sugar. The juice became sharp, sour, sweet, and dangerous. That is the primitive hook. Before humans made alcohol, the natural world was already making it. Fermentation happens when microbes transform sugars. No priest, potter, farmer, or brewer is needed for the first taste. Only fruit, time, and curiosity. The drunken monkey hypothesis argues that primates may have been attracted to ethanol signals in ripe fruit because those smells pointed toward calories. In that view, alcohol begins not as a party drug, but as a chemical clue. Food is ready. But there is a huge difference between tasting fermented fruit and making alcohol on purpose. One is discovery. The other is technology. To brew, humans had to gather sugars, prepare them, store them, wait, and trust an invisible transformation. That invisible transformation is strange. Grain becomes sweet. Juice becomes intoxicating. A pot becomes alive with bubbles. Before microscopes, nobody saw yeast as a living organism. People learned fermentation through smell, taste, failure, and repetition. The oldest clear stories do not begin in taverns. They begin in archaeological residues, starch grains, plant particles, chemical traces, microfossils, damaged pottery, stone mortars, and places where people gathered for rituals. One of the strongest early claims comes from RAQEFET cave in Israel. Researchers analysed stone mortars from a Natufian burial cave and argued that people were making wheat and barley beer around 13,000 years ago. The surprising part is where the evidence appears. RAQEFET cave was a burial place. Beer was not simply refreshment. It may have belonged to feasts, mourning, memory, and the social work of bringing people together around the dead. This matters because the Natufians were living before full agriculture in the region. If the interpretation is right, people were making beer before domesticated grain farming became the normal foundation of life. The drink may be older than the farm. That does not mean beer caused agriculture by itself. History is not that simple. But it does mean alcohol may have been part of the social gravity that made people gather, cooperate, process grain, and repeat difficult labour. Across the world, another famous clue comes from JIAHU in northern China. Chemical analyses of pottery residues found evidence for a mixed fermented beverage made from rice, honey, and fruit as early as the 7th millennium BC. That drink was not modern beer or modern wine. It was a hybrid. Rice, honey, fruit, maybe hawthorn or grape. Ancient alcohol was less like a brand category and more like an experiment with whatever sugar the landscape offered. Later evidence from QIAOTOU in southern China shows beer drinking around 9,000 to 8,700 years ago in a burial ritual context. Once again, the drink appears near the dead, ceremony, and special pottery. That pattern is hard to ignore. Some of the oldest alcohol evidence is not attached to casual nightlife. It is attached to moments when a group needs emotion, trust, memory, shared attention, and a reason to act as one body. Alcohol is dangerous because it lowers control, but that same danger is also why societies used it. It can loosen fear, mark transition, intensify ritual, make strangers feel less strange, and make a feast feel larger than ordinary food. It was also calories. Fermented drinks can carry energy. They can preserve nutrients in liquid form. They can make grain more digestible, change flavour, and turn surplus into something valuable. Alcohol was chemistry, not just intoxication. But ancient alcohol was probably weak by modern standards in many cases. Cloudy, sour, thick, mixed with plant bits, sometimes closer to fermented porridge than a clear bottle. The first buzz may have tasted nothing like what people imagine. To make it repeatedly, humans needed containers. This is where pottery matters. A pot can hold liquid, protect it, carry it, serve it, and let residue soak into walls. When pottery changes, fermentation becomes easier to control and easier to prove archaeologically. PNAS research on early Neolithic China describes specialized pottery and diverse fermentation techniques. That means the story is not one drink invented once, it is many communities learning different ways to manage sugar, starch, microbes, and social meaning. This is why asking for the first alcoholic drink is tricky. Fermented fruit may be ancient beyond archaeology. Controlled brewing leaves evidence only when tools survive. The first drink may be invisible, while the first proof appears much later. So the answer comes in layers. First, humans probably noticed natural fermentation. Then they learned to repeat it. Then they built vessels and rituals around it. Then alcohol became part of feasting, death, status, and eventually civilization. That connection to death is especially powerful. A funeral feast solves a human problem. Grief separates people, but eating and drinking together brings bodies back into one rhythm. Alcohol can make emotion collective. It also creates obligation. If you drink at my feast, you accept a bond. If you share my vessel, you join my memory. If a leader provides the drink, generosity becomes power. Alcohol can turn food into politics. That is the darker side. Alcohol helps trust, but it can also be used to command, exclude, impress, and control. A rare drink made with labor can become status. Whoever controls the feast may control the story. So when did humans first drink alcohol? The first accidental taste could be far older than any pot. The earliest strong archaeological claims point to the deep Epipaleolithic and Neolithic world, where fermentation was tied to grain, pottery, ritual, and the dead. The first drunk human may have been hungry, not reckless. They may have been following calories. The first brewer may have been preparing a feast, not opening a business. The first cup may have been raised for the dead, not for fun. Alcohol survived because it answered many human needs at once. It fed, preserved, intoxicated, gathered, marked, comforted, and risked. It made invisible microbes into social force. It turned ordinary sugar into ceremony. And that is why alcohol is one of humanity's strangest inventions. It is food that changes the mind, poison that can become ritual, decay turned into value, and a dangerous smell that humans learn to trust.